the United States and others, they don't give a damn about an Iranian woman dying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course.
Because we have had and we have major sanctions against us. I mean, I did an interview about 2 months ago, and I talked to these individuals who have these rare diseases and everything. It's a EB, it's called the butterfly disease. And these people have this very, very sensitive skin, and they have to get this special bandage or wrapping, or otherwise their skin peels. They have to do this 2 or 3 times a day. There's one company, a Swedish company, that actually sells these bandages or wrappings. The United States won't let that Swedish company sell to Iran. We have people dying every day. That's just one of these diseases. Para que se asustan será pa' mejor. Es el pueblo entero el que ya está gritando. Viva la revolución.
Iranian nuclear weapons development.
They have turned the island into a communist hellhole.
The experiment in Venezuela has failed completely.
Ramiro, I have seen, it is unbelievable. Like, if I had never come to Iran and never lived in Iran, I would imagine that this would be a country, and I'd love to hear from your viewers and stuff, you know, what their first image comes to their mind when they hear Iran, because they have created this negative image over the 4 decades of being a backwards place, that people are repressed, you know, just cut off from modernity, cut off from the world. And it's interesting because when people have come here, either just visiting or been invited to various conferences, they're shocked. They're absolutely stunned. I mean, I had one person once, prior to getting here, was saying, like, do you guys have electricity? Do you live in, like, what kind of houses do you live in? I'm like, do you know how old this civilization is over here? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So on the one hand, they paint a picture of, this country that's going after, you know, nuclear bombs. And okay, so they have the sophistication to deal with nukes, you're saying. On the other hand, we have people who have an image of, oh my God, I mean, these people are living in the desert, right? They have nothing. So this is how they create. And we know, I mean, if we look at the images from so many countries that they try to create, first of all, they work on that part of it. And then they can say whatever they want about it, because unfortunately the average person will accept it because they've been demonized for so long.
Beautifully said. And just as one of my good friends, Erica Kane, says in the chat, yes, decades of propaganda to validate the decades of sanctions. And I totally agree with you, Marzieh. There's so much propaganda and nonsense about Iran. Everything that the U.S. and Israel accuses Iran of is actually true about the U.S.-backed, Western-backed entities like Saudi Arabia, and even the U.S. itself in terms of detention, having the largest prison population in the world, Israel spying and censoring people. So it's just it's crazy to see that. It's infuriating. And honestly, it's been so frustrating these past few days, just getting into so many debates with people, even people who consider themselves anti-imperialist or left or progressive, yes, who are saying, yes, oh, well, you know, we have to, this is a grassroots uprising. Okay, so what, the US and the Western powers are supporting it, you know, this is, you know, neither Tehran nor Washington. And, you know, as somebody who has been victim to kidnapped by the US government, by the US state, who has been detained illegally by the US government, you know, what is your perspective about what's going on? First of all, give us a rundown of what exactly happened, the case of Mahsa Amini. What exactly happened, and how has the Western imperialist powers been taking advantage of the situation?
Right. It's been an amazing situation. I mean, because I've seen Of course, I've been in Iran a while now, and I've seen many attempts actually to try to overthrow this government or try to get the people to turn against the government. And I have to say, this is I think the most coordinated one that I have seen on so many levels. Exactly the point that you just made. We've had traditional people who were traditionally anti-imperialist fall for this one this time around. What happened with Mahsa Amini? She was detained. Yes, we do have laws in Iran that women and men should dress conservatively. The women should wear a scarf. What we've been seeing over, especially since with Rouhani government the last 4 years, basically what we had seen was that I think some women wear it, some women don't. So that's where we were and are. You see some women, they may have it on their shoulder or not wear it at all. And then you'll see others who are fully covered. And that's how we have been living with each other and whatever. I saw different signs within the last year that we were probably going to be targeted and the women would be used for this. And I mean, this is always something that we see in different places that the imperialists use. So when Mahsa Amini, we heard that she had been arrested, and the first things that came out, like in social media, was that this woman had been arrested. She had been beaten to death. Okay, then we find out that she had not died. She was in a coma. And then it was, that she had been just totally abused and so many different things. And then the CCTV cameras, the footage was released. And we see this woman in this class. And so what they do, they take them in class and like, okay, so these are the reasons why, this is the law. You should dress conservatively, this type of thing. So she's in this classroom setting and she's sitting down and then she gets up and she talks to, I guess, one of the teacher's guards, whatever you want to call her. And she's talking. And I don't know if you guys have seen the video. I don't even know if they show the video over there. Okay. And then she passes out. Well, what we have found out, I mean, maybe from the stress of being detained, it could have an effect. I'm not saying it could not have, but we do know that she had previous medical problems. And this whole thing is being investigated, let me say. I mean, right after this happened, even the president of the country said it has to be thoroughly investigated. And if we see that if there's a problem, if someone caused this, whatever, then they will be prosecuted accordingly. So this is, okay, let me just say that situations happen in many countries as far as dealing with police or whatever. But the thing is that when it happens, anything happens in Iran, all of a sudden it becomes systemic, everyone. Yep. I mean, the U.S., you can shoot, a black guy 80 times and who has done nothing or whatever, but okay, but you don't question the overall system. It's that let's just get justice in this particular case. All of a sudden, this just turned into such a major story, and we saw from like all over the world, everyone just getting involved and making statements, and then the hashtag. I mean, the hashtag. Can I say the hashtag? Amini. It was unbelievable that the number of hashtags. And I did a show on this a few days ago. It was like nothing you've ever seen. I mean, it was like 90 million, almost impossible. I mean, in 1 week for somebody who's unknown. Yeah. So we see the whole tech involvement in all of this. That's number one. Number two, Iran during that week was involved in a few different things. One was the Shanghai Cooperation Agreement. So Iran joined Russia and China, India and Pakistan and a few other countries for that Shanghai cooperation that Raisi was in Uzbekistan signing at the time. This is really major because it's a total shift to the east, and it shows that Iran is anything but isolated, because when you're talking about, let's say, even from the economic perspective of dealing with a market like India, Russia, China, Pakistan, and others, it's a big move, and the U.S. knows it's a very big move. Also, we've had at the same time, because you also have to look at what's going on elsewhere. Then all of a sudden we see the so-called skirmish, Azerbaijan and Armenia taken up. Azerbaijan is on the border of Iran, for those who may not know. That's a security issue. That's a major security issue for Iran. We saw so many things going around its various borders at the same time. All of this taking place, and I have to say during that week that was the week of, we had a couple of holidays during that, so things were not at the regular level of work level. We had the biggest in Iraq on that Saturday, around the same time all this was happening. It's the biggest gathering in the world, the biggest annual gathering in the world. It's Arba'in, it's a religious gathering. The significance of this is the solidarity, especially between Iran and Iraq. Strategically, it's very important. This was not covered at all in the media. Now I'll ask you, the largest annual gathering in the world, doesn't that deserve some type of media coverage? I mean, they rarely cover it. This is an annual event, right? Because they know the significance of it. So all of these things were happening at the same time. And then all of a sudden we see this story just take off, just take off. Now, let me tell you, I'm a woman, a Black American woman from New Orleans, and choosing to live in Iran. And I can tell you that there is no way that I could deal with a society that was repressive or oppressive towards women. Okay, yes, we have a rule that you should wear something over your head. Now, people may get into this whole thing, oh my God, and freedom or whatever. Well, you know what? This is what they chose 34 years ago. And if you want to change it, then there are ways to change it, and it's a domestic issue. This is really not the point of it all, because we know that the United States and others, they don't give a damn about an Iranian woman dying.
Yeah.
Okay?
Of course.
Because we have major sanctions against us. I mean, I did an interview about 2 months ago, and I talked to these individuals who have these rare diseases and everything. It's a EB, it's called the butterfly disease. And these people have this very, very sensitive skin, and they have to get this special bandage or wrapping, or otherwise their skin peels. They have to do this 2 or 3 times a day. There's one company, a Swedish company, that actually sells these bandages or wrappings. The United States won't let that Swedish company sell to Iran. We have people dying every day. That's just one of these diseases. So don't tell me that all of a sudden they care so much about one woman dying. Okay? So this is what people don't understand. And our so-called anti-imperialists, it's really sad that they haven't gotten this yet. Because it's not about that. It's not about that. And by the way, because we know, they did the same thing with Afghanistan and the whole women things or whatever. Well,
right.
We just had a lot of women who were killed in Afghanistan, again, on Friday. Where's the hashtag for them now? No, because that doesn't fit into their overall scenario. So we have to put everything, we have to understand how to put things in perspective and look at things strategically. Why would we think, and I'm talking to the so-called anti-imperialists, why would you think all of these entities have gotten on board? Really? I mean, we have American women dying constantly over there. Do we have these hashtags taking off like that, and just this whole movement? I mean, I don't think anything has been really decided about Breonna Taylor and so many others. So what is it about this 21, 22-year-old young woman, who, of course, the loss of any life is sad.
Right.
But we have to put it all in perspective. Now, all of a sudden, this has become a massive movement, as they're saying, against, Iran and how it is anti-women. Where is Iran and women? The majority are over 55%. I don't have these exact statistics right now. Of our university students are women. I mean, what are you talking about as far as this oppression? And Iranian women know, they know their lifestyles. They know what they have. But it's always easy to manipulate a group of people because, yes, there are hardships here. Economically, there's a lot of pressure, and that's what the U.S. does. I mean, they inflict this pressure on people first. And then, it's easier to get people on the streets because, yes, of course, there's frustration. I mean, when we look at our buying power, we look at the real and how it has been devaluated. Yes, it is difficult. So when you have people going through those hardships and then there's something that happens, it's easy to pull them out on the streets, especially the way this has been done. It has been an unbelievable media attack, and all of their cronies, the Iranian cronies that they've bought off and paying for, have gone full throttle on this one. So the thing is that what we have to understand is that the picture that they're painting is not the reality on the ground. First of all, the whole country is not on fire.
Mm-hmm.
It is not like that. I'm not sure if Press TV had gone out, because we've had in the middle, because the first day of school is the first day of fall here. Mm-hmm. And, just the kids going to school, and that happened last week. University students returned yesterday. There were some sit-ins at some of the universities, but that's a big difference than the whole country just falling apart. They have always tried to show, basically, that this revolution wouldn't last. I remember I was a college student when this revolution took place. And I remember, the initial stages was they were talking about the leader of the revolution was Ayatollah Khomeini, and back then, and they were like, oh, he's dying. It won't last. And he lived another 10 years. That's how we started off. And since that time, there have been so many things that they're saying it's collapsing. The people don't support it. We saw it in the whole 2009 shenanigans with that election. And we see it now. Listen, I was on the streets and I've seen both sides. And we've seen also the pro-government protests that have taken place in various cities.